Hi guys and welcome back. Today I am working on this watercolor painting and I'm going to talk a bit about the process but also some life updates that have influenced this piece and things that I'm working on. So I'm excited to talk. This is going to be a let's paint and chit chat together kind of video. So if you'd like to pull up some artwork and work on it with me while I work on this, that sounds lovely. So let's just jump right in. The big news is I actually recently had a baby. I went on maternity leave for a little while and I actually prepared a bunch of stuff like videos and Patreon posts and things like that before I had him so that I could take some time off but also not just like vanish. So this piece is actually, it is the piece that I got back into watercolors with after taking. It was about 2 months of a break. I took about closer to 2.5 of like a full rest time, but this is when I got back into it. It was my okay, let's see if I remember how to watercolor painting, and I am so happy about the process of this one. I definitely think that taking some time away helped me. I don't think that that's going to be the answer most of the time, but I do think it helped me to fall back in love with watercolors in a way. So for me, taking that break, it refreshed the way that I thought about watercolors and wanted to work on watercolors. And I definitely felt it with this one. I felt that I could get more immersed in it, and I felt a deeper desire to explore how I can become a better watercolor artist. It just kind of shook things up. It took me out of that like tripping forward from one piece to the next feeling where I wasn't really giving myself pause, and it let me dive into this one. And I don't think it's really like overwhelmingly apparent, but working on this piece, I could tell that the way that I glazed on areas, it actually really improved, which is kind of a shock. I was afraid that it would be really rusty, my skills, that I would really struggle with it, but it actually didn't work out that way. And I do think that it's the right amount of time. If I had gone too long, I definitely would have been rusty. If I had gone less time, I may not have had this like reset feeling. So I think it was like a careful balance, but it worked out in my favor in this case. But it did remind me the skills that I had learned a long time ago when I was first learning watercolors, and all of those like ideal ways to handle the medium that I've forgotten about or gotten lazy with. So it was just an opportunity for me to think about it before I got into this. So this is something that could potentially help if you're feeling really stagnated, is maybe take a break from either that specific medium or from painting for a little while to come back to it with fresh eyes, with a fresh intent of what exactly you want to do with it. How do you want to handle it? I was very grateful for that, because I was feeling like I was kind of I didn't have my eyes open, I guess, in a lot of ways. It was really enjoyable to work on this. And it was a good reminder because I missed it so much. I missed it. And then painting this piece felt so right. And I was excited to work on it again. So it was a good reminder again that this is what I want to do, that this is how I want to create art, that I do love watercolors, and I want to keep creating new pieces, and I want to keep developing my skills. So yeah, it was a good time painting this piece. It was very exciting to get back to it. Another thing that I will probably have a whole video talking a bit more about it in the future, but I've been trying a new technique for the process that I create my artwork with. So that sounded really vague. Let's just jump into it. For a long time now, I've been sketching them out digitally. Sometimes I'll do a thumbnail traditionally with pencil, and then I'll get a rough sketch done with Photoshop, and then I can reposition where things are. I can really work through it very quickly, and that works for the most part, but I find that I transfer it over onto my watercolor paper in a very rough state still. So I have to fill in the gaps, so to speak, a lot more when I'm transferring over to my watercolor papers. I have to figure out the details and make sure that it all clicks together correctly. But because I'm transferring it directly to the watercolor paper, it has to be correct. When you erase off of watercolor paper, it erodes the surface of it. So I tried to do that as absolutely minimally as possible. So pretty much once I put a mark, unless it's really wrong, I'll erase it. Or if it's really bad, then I will just start over and I'll scrap the paper, which sucks. So this is something that I actually have not even like second thought about my process, that I work from these really rough sketches. And I tried, I think it was a piece right before I went away on my maternity leave where I tried actually transferring it to a Bristol board, so just paper basically, and doing a very similar refinement process, except that I could erase it and then redraw it and get it correct. And I loved it. What it actually did was it made me fall in love with the piece much more. I spent more time on it. I got everything finessed and where I wanted it to, and then it created a bit of a feedback loop. Because I did that, because I gave it the care it needed, it made me feel like it was a piece that I cared about, so then I did care about it more, and then I painted it better, and I felt more attached to it. So it just felt like this cascading effect, like this puzzle piece that I've been missing, that jumping in with this really rough sketch, it didn't give me time to really feel connected to a piece, and also it didn't give me time to get all of the little refinement done. And I actually loved doing that little, well, it wasn't little, I loved doing the drawing, the refined drawing of the sketch. It was really enjoyable. It was something that I used to do a lot more. I used to draw more, and I've been missing that step. So that was a big thing that really did help me feel like I cared about this piece, and it helped me to spend more time painting on it because I felt like I had invested more into it. It's interesting how many little like psychological tricks there are to creating artwork and feeling motivated or inspired. And that's one of them for me, I found, is that the more feedback I give myself that I value a piece, the more I do value it and the better I can paint it and the more attention to it I give. I've also been trying to be more aware of the colors that I'm using in my pieces. I found that a lot of pieces oftentimes go off on like a side road of where I want to go. I have a type of color palette that I absolutely love, and I don't think I'm hitting the mark on a lot of my pieces. They're close, but not quite there. What I really love is I love really dark, so almost blacks, actual blacks, just like really emerald colors, just really dark colors. I love those. Paired with very bright, saturated colors. I think that really helps them to pop, and it has the mood and the atmosphere that I want. But I find that I very often, I don't utilize grays and darker, more neutral colors to the extent that I want. So I'll often end up with a piece that has like a bunch of different bright colors, but not enough grounding in more neutral dark colors to help the colors that are there pop. I'd like to pay attention to that more, to what is the overall feeling of the colors that I'm creating doing. I tend to get very like a narrow view on what I'm working on, so I'll come up with a solution for that piece, but not necessarily what I want it to be outside of that, or how I want it to connect with my other works of art. Like, how do I want them all to look like together? So I'm trying to do that more. I noticed that with this one, that I had done a lighter blue for the background, and I decided to course correct and make it a darker blue, more of like a navy. And I do think that definitely helped steer it in the right direction. I don't think that this one like perfectly hit the mark on what I want to do with my colors, but I do think that it was a step in the right direction as far as me being able to recognize it while I was working on it and then change directions and fix it. So yes, I'll be paying more attention to that in the future and fine-tuning exactly what I want for the colors so that it fits this broader scope of what I want to do, rather than just like, again, the solution to the puzzle of that specific piece. And then at the end, I added just a little bit of shimmer. I'll look up what the actual paint is, but it's a Daniel Smith paint that's just silver shimmer. It's really fun to use to just add a little bit of flair to a piece. If you look at this painting at just the right angle, you don't see it at all. And then if you see it at a different angle, you see it and it's sparkly. And I really love using these special effect watercolors, but I almost never reach for them. And I'd like to use them more. They give me joy. I love using them. I love like this shimmer one, and I have some duochrome shiny ones. Oh, they're so pretty. And my gold metallics. I just want to bring them back into my work. I want to enjoy that process again. And I do have prints available of dark wings at my shop in 2 different sizes. There's a link down in the description that'll take you over there. And the original has sold, so I'm excited to send her off to her new home. But that is about it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys next time.